Okay, so good day. This will be the part 2 of our discussion, the CSS margin properties. So the following example demonstrate the various CSS properties you can use to apply margins to any HTML element. Margins define the space around the element, and CSS margins are specified in a similar way to borders. They can be set individually for each side or all sides at once. So as what we have here, setting margins on all sides. So this will be the code and this will be our sample output. If setting margins of each side, if you don't want the margin setting to be applied to all 4 sides, or if you want each side to have different margin applied, you can use the following properties. So top, right, bottom, and left. So this will be the sample code, and at the right side is our sample output. Shorthand property. This method uses a shorthand property for setting margin top, margin right, margin bottom, and margin left in the one place. This method is quicker. It also uses less code than the previous method. Actually, it's the same property that we use in our first example, margin property. The only difference is that we apply multiple values against it. So this will be the sample code, and this will be our sample output. How about the variations? You don't need to provide different values for all 4 sides. You can provide 1, 2, 3, or 4 values. If there is only one value, it applies to all sides. If there are 2 values, the top and bottom margins are set to the first value and the right and left margins are set to the second. If there are 3 values, the top is set to be the first value, the left and right are set to the second, and the bottom is set to the third. But if there are 4 values, they apply to top, right, bottom, and left respectively. So in other words, so we have here, so margin 10 pixels, that is all 4 sides, have a margin of 10 pixels. So for top and bottom have a margin of 10 pixels, right and left have a margin 20 pixels. For 10, 20, 30, top is 10, left and right is 20, bottom is 30. For margin 10, 20, 30, 40 respectively. So top is 10, right is 20, bottom is 30, and left is 40. CSS padding properties. So padding defines the space between the element's border and its content. CSS padding is specified just like margins. It can be set individually for each side or all sides at once. So set the same padding on all sides. This example uses the padding shorthand property to set the same padding on all sides of an element. So this will be our HTML tags with CSS, and this will be the output. Setting padding for each side. So if you don't want the same padding setting to be applied to all 4 sides, or if you want each side to have different padding, you can use the following properties. So top, right, bottom, and left. So as what we have here, no? So we have gold background, top 5x, right 60x, bottom 15px, and left 30x, 30px or pixels. So this will be the code and this will be the sample output. The shorthand property. The padding property is shorthand for padding top, right, bottom, and padding left. So this will be the tags, and this will be the sample output at the right side. Variation, again, as with margin, you don't need to provide different values for all 4 sides. You can provide 1, 2, 3, or 4 values. If there is only one value, it applies to all sides. If there are 2 values, the top and bottom paddings are set to the first value, and the right and left paddings are set to the second. If there are three values, the top is set to the first value, the left and right set to the second, and the bottom is set to the third. But if there are four values, they apply to the top, right, bottom, and left margin respectively. So we have here the all four sides having padding of 10 pixels. Top, bottom have padding 10 pixels and 20 pixels. 10 top, left and right 20, bottom is 20. Top is 10, right is 20, bottom is 30, and left is 40. As variation of CSS padding style. Padding, borders, and the box model. Applying padding in borders to an element can affect the size of the element. If you set an element to be 100 pixels wide, then apply padding of 10 pixels, the padding will increase the width to be 120 pixels. This is because the default CSS box model adds padding in borders to the original box size. It looks at the specified width and height, then adds any borders and adding to the width and height. So as you can see here, based on our given example, no, this can be counterintuitive and cause a lot of issues with trying to get layouts working right. It's especially confusing when working with percentages. So for example, you set an element to a width of 100%, but the border and end or padding pushes it out wider than 100%, effectively breaking your design. Okay, so this whole issue can be overcome by using the box dash sizing property. More specifically using box sizing border box. So as what we have here. Okay, this keeps the box at the specified width or height and draws the border and padding inside that specified height and width. Many developers like to change the box model across all HTML elements and pseudo elements. And this can be helpful as it keeps the box model consistent across all elements. Or you can do this, the following code as what we have here, the asterisk, comma, asterisk colon, then before comma, asterisk colon after, begin box dot sizing colon, border dash box semicolon and end. Okay, so that is an additional for CSS padding style. How to style list with CSS? HTML list can have a number of different style apply using CSS. So number one is list style type. Determines what the bullet looks like. So for info on the possible values, so we have list dash style dash type command or tags. So based on the given example here, so we have list style type circle. So this will be the sample output at the right side. For the list type or list style image, so we have here, for example, you have a bullet1.png image. So this is one way you'll be able to call the said image. So then list dash style dash image. So at the right side will be the output. For list style position, it determines whether the bullet is located inside the list containing box or outside. So as what we have here, we have list style dash position inside and outside list dash style dash position outside. And we have list style. The list dash style property is shorthand for setting the list properties. So as what we have here, the font size is 1.5 and the list dash style is square inside. So based on the given example. Okay, then unstyled list. Actually, by default, most browsers style list in a certain way. So for example, most lists have a bullet point or other list marker of each item. List also typically having padding and margin applied. However, you might not always want list to appear this way. In fact, it's very common for developers to use unstyled lists. Unstyled lists are those that have had any padding, margin, and list marker removed. Unstyled lists are often used in website navigation and other places where any list marker, padding, and margins would just get in the way. So I have here an example of the font size, margin, padding left, list style. We have also inline list. So you can take it a step further and turn the unstyled list into an inline list. So you can do this by setting display colon inline dash block against the li elements. And this will be the sample output at the right side. CSS positioning. Use CSS positioning to specify how an element is positioned and where it should be located on the page. The term CSS positioning typically refers to using the position property to specify how an element is positioned. So, for example, you can specify whether you want the element positioned relative to its natural position in the page, in an absolute position, of course, taking out of the normal flow, in a fixed position in others. So relative positioning, to perform relative positioning in CSS, you use position colon relative semicolon, followed by the desired offset from either top, right, bottom, or left. So based on what we have here, so position relative left 50 pixels, background color gold, width is 90 pixels. So this will be the output. Based on the given example a while ago, it offset the element 80 pixels from the left of where it would have been. If we had specified top, it would appear 80 pixels below where it would have been. It's important to note that other elements are not affected by this element offset. Therefore, overlapping may occur. Absolute positioning. To perform absolute positioning in CSS, you again use the position property. Only this time you use position colon absolute followed by the desired offset. So position absolute, top, right, left, background, width, and padding. And this will be the sample output at the right. Fixed positioning. It allows you to fix the position of an element to a particular spot on the page, regardless of scrolling. So as what we have here, we have absolute, top, left, height, position fixed, top, left, background, width, and padding. So this will be the continuation. So we have dev class is equal to absolute and div class is equal to fixed. And this will be the sample output for that. The CSS float. The CSS float property enables you to determine whether where to position an element relative to the other elements on the page. When you use the float property, other elements will simply wrap around the element you apply the float to. So float left example. So in this example, we set a dev element to float left, which result in the rest of the content wrapping around it. We take note that I apply a margin to the right and bottom of the box so that the rest of the content doesn't run right up against the box. So as you can see here, float left. So padding, margin, background is gold. So dev float dash left. And this will be the output. Float right example. In this example, we set a div element to float right, which result in the rest of the content wrapping around it. In this case, the bottom margin, it kept the bottom margin, but move the right margin to the left of the box instead. So this will be an example and the output. So aligning boxes side by side. Here we use float left to align div elements side by side. Normally, these elements would stack up on top of each other. But by using float left, we can get them to display next to each other. So as what we have float left, that gold, that lime green, and that orange. So background orange. And as you can see, we have the dead class gold, of course, lime green and orange. And this will be the sample output at the right. For CSS float. CSS layers. You can use CSS to add layers of elements so that an element can sit in front or behind other elements. In CSS, layers refer to applying the z-index property to elements that overlap with each other. The z-index property, when used in a conjunction with the position property, enables you to specify which element should appear on top in the event of an overlap. An overlap can easily occur when using the position property, and this is often desirable when creating advanced layouts. So this will be the example actually. So we have the div with height position, and we use that in front. Okay? So color red, top is 10, left is 80, then z dash index is equal to 2. Okay? So that behind, we have top 60, left 35, then z index that 1. And this will be the sample output at the right side. Layers with opacity. So you can use the opacity property to provide some transparency between the layers. So this will be the example actually. So we have that in front, z index 2, and we have also the background color z index 1, and this will be the output for the layers with opacity. CSS, Flexbox, and Grid. So CSS, Flexbox, and Grid can be used for creating website layouts and positioning items on a web page. So I will give you an overview. The CSS, Flexbox, and Grid are two different layout models optimized for user interface design. Flexbox, also known as Flexible Box Layout, deals with one-dimensional layouts, where you can lay out and align elements horizontally or vertically. Grid, also known as grid layout, okay, goes a step further and allows you to build two-dimensional layouts where you can lay out and align elements horizontally and vertically. So here is an example of a playbox, okay, flex box. The flex box actually include a number of properties that allow you to define a flexible box, as well as the behavior of the items inside it. First, you declare the flex container by applying display colon flex or display colon inline dash flex to it. This establishes a new flex formatting context for its content. So once you have flex container, you can then apply the various flex properties to each children. The flex property is shorthand for the main flex properties, and it goes like this, as what we have here. So we have that outer dash container, and of course font, background, color, height, and display. For the dot box, we have padding in flex.10 auto. For that large background, yellow green, flex 30 auto. Then of course the div class auto dash container. For the box, box larger, class box, and class box larger, and of course the dev command. So as what we have here was based on the given HTML and CSS tags, we will be able to produce this sample output. Now, the grid layout. The grid works similar to Flexbox in that you can declare a grid container which establishes a new grid formatting context for its content, which establish a new grid formatting context for its content. You can define the grid as a set number of rows and columns and their sizes and others. You define the grid container by using either display colon grid or display colon inline grid. Any direct children of the grid contain our grid items, and you have complete control over where these are placed, how many rows or columns they span, in others. So here is an example. So we have display column grid, grid dash template dash areas. So we have a grid template dash rows, template dash columns, grid dash gap, and the height, of course, and others. So based on the given tags, we have this output. Okay, so as you can see here, we have header, we have the navigator, the article, the ads, and the footer. Actually, in this example, we use a kind of ASCII art to define a three-column website layout. And this is just one of the many things you can do with grid layout. Uh, of course, we have covers grid in more details. And again, we are allowed to use some ASCII art for that grid layout. So I think that's it for today. And I think we will cover part 1 and part 2, the entire CSS. Okay, so in this discussion, we learned that CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and that is this use applying style to web pages. We will learn how to code and implement CSS using the inline, embedded, and external method. We learn about classes and IDs before applying styles such as font, backgrounds, borders, margins, and more. We then cover the more advanced topics such as position, float, layers, flexbox, and grid, which help us to create some pretty cool layouts. So that's it, and good luck in developing your own web page or website using HTML and CSS. So that's it for today, and good luck, everyone.